For most young adults, your early to mid-20s is a time where the world is your oyster. Everything is an endless possibility and your future is only what you want to make of it. But for Kee Kiat, his future was put into doubt when he was diagnosed with an enlarged heart. With little to no options available to him, his only chance for survival was through a heart transplant.
I realized about my heart problem, or my heart illness, back in 2008 or 2009 when I was doing a health checkup for a job interview. So from the checkup, the doctors found out that my x-ray shows that I have a slightly enlarged heart, and at that point of time, the situation wasn't very serious, so they put me on some medications and whatnot. And fast forward about 1.5 years later, I woke up one day with a very heavy chest. I couldn't breathe. I tried, but I couldn't breathe. So I was immediately rushed to a hospital, but unfortunately that hospital wasn't equipped to treat patients like me with end-stage heart failure, and therefore I was being referred to IJN. So in IJN I was being treated by the doctors, and they told me that it is confirmed I have an end-stage heart failure, and my only option of survival was to wait for a heart transplant.
End-stage heart disease is a condition that usually affects those in their 50s and 60s. But what exactly is it? And how could it have affected such a young man?
End-stage heart disease is when a condition or patient with heart failure, they are not responding to the conventional treatment that we have. So usually when patients with heart failure, we will give them a combination of medication and also lifestyle changes plus pacemaker. So in this group of patients, if they are not responding to any of this treatment, then we may consider them for advanced heart failure therapy. And the advanced heart failure therapy is something like heart transplant and also a mechanical circulatory support, or what we call left ventricular assist device. In patients with severe heart failure, majority of them will have problems with breathlessness, so they feel very tired, and most of the time they are not able to do and perform their daily activities. So they're unable to walk around the house, and some patients will have multiple admissions to the hospital. So of course these are the limiting factor in terms of the symptoms that they have. Some patients will have a lot of water retention, so they have leg edema, they also have abdominal swelling, and these are the things that majority of the patients will have, especially in the group of patients with end-stage heart failure. Usually, end-stage heart disease happens at the later age because it is due to injury to the heart. For example, somebody with a heart attack or uncontrolled hypertension. So it is not very common for somebody to have it at a very early age, for example, 20 years old. Majority of the time, if they developed it early, then it is probably due to genetic or a congenital disease. So they are born with cardiomyopathy, with heart failure that is not treatable with conventional treatment. So usually a suitable donor comes from a pool where somebody actually died from a brain injury. So for example, somebody who had a brain hemorrhage as a result of a road traffic accident, for example, or somebody who had a stroke. And the ones that we want, or the most suitable donor, are the patients who are young, who has no comorbidities. For example, they don't suffer from hypertension, they don't have diabetes, and also they are not on any medications previously. So these are what we call a suitable donor, because we want the heart to be in a good shape and in a good function, without any significant problem when we transplant the patient in.
Despite everything that he had to endure, Kee Kiat has managed to come out of the tunnel and back into the light, and things that might have seemed dour at some point has begun to look so much more hopeful.
I've always been interested in bicycles since I was a kid. I like cycling, and since I already got a second chance in life, I think I should pursue the things I've always wanted to do, and I should give it a try, no matter what it is. So then I went ahead. After confidently being able to cycle well, I started getting into more strenuous activities. So I think about 3 years after starting cycling, I got into martial arts. So I started doing boxing, Then I went for vacation in Bali, and that's when I tried surfing for the first time. And then subsequently I tried bouldering, and I've also tried other sports like jiu-jitsu, a bit of MMA kind of stuff. So I'm still doing it on and off, but my main focus right now is boxing, because that's what I love most. I feel like a normal person. I feel like a celebrity right now. I would say I feel very happy. Because of the transplant, I was more daring. I bring up more courage to try things I never get to try. I do things that I never get to do. So I would say, yeah, I'm a happy person lah. And I get to get married, settle down. So that's a very happy part. From the bottom of my heart, I am very appreciative to all the doctors and nurses, all the staff of IGN for taking such good care of me in these 10 years, especially to Puan Sharifah, who is always keeping in touch with me, how I've been, coordinating all my follow-ups, all my medications. So yeah, a very, very, very big thanks to IGN for everything they've done for me.
I think he has done, exceptionally very well. I think 10 years after his cardiac transplant, I think he's doing very well. His heart function is good, and we have just performed a coronary angiogram, and there is no significant blockage in the coronary arteries, which can be associated in patients who had long-term cardiac transplant. His kidney is, is functioning very well, and he's actually in a very, very good state. And I wish him all the best, and I want him to look after himself very well, and we hope for many, many years he will continue to be as healthy as this after his cardiac transplant.
Kee Kiat has managed to live a full life since the dark days of 10 years ago. Thanks to the dedicated and hardworking staff at IJN, Kee Kiat's future is just waiting to be written.